tonight about Monsters Number One by Mark Spears. I picked it up a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't really get a chance to do a deep dive into this issue. So let's go ahead and take a look at this really awesome comic. All right, guys, so this is Monsters issue number 1, written and illustrated by Mark Spears from Keen Spot Comics. And it's got a graphic scene there where it looks like somebody's ready to unalive themselves, and instead they find that somebody has been murdered. So he's a detective, and he has to try to figure out who killed who. And to be honest, this is a really interesting comic because it's almost like Lord of the Rings, except instead of a ring being taken to Mount Doom to be destroyed, it's more like there's a ring that can stop Dracula, stop a bunch of destruction and monsters, and these things are real. Dracula is real. He's in the world. And there's werewolves and all of these different creatures. And so it's really an interesting take on this, that you're not really sure whether Dracula is still alive at the end of the story or exactly what's going on, but everybody's in search of this ring. So it's a hunt for this ring. I've got to say, I don't know how long Mark Spears took on the artwork, but it is some of the most realistic stuff that I have seen outside of Alex Ross. Just really amazing stuff. The colors on it are bright and vibrant. The story itself, like I said, is very well paced. And it makes you interested in these characters, like this one called Slayer. And nobody really knows much about Slayer. He's almost like a bounty hunter, almost like a Boba Fett type character. And so you've got that, but you don't really know why Slayer is going to see, Fat Tony, who this guy swears is called Big Anthony. But he eventually dispatches with this guy and gets to Fat Tony. But the artwork is moody. It sets a tone, and that tone is real world. Because I don't know who he modeled this particular character after, but he looks kind of like, with that beard, he looks like the guy who used to play Herschel on The Walking Dead. But the realism in this artwork is what really, really throws me for a loop. It looks like these characters could really be right there in front of you. And here's old Drac himself showing himself in the book. And that, my friends, if I'm not mistaken, is most definitely Christopher Lee. That's the Christopher Lee Dracula. By the way, Christopher Lee was a badass. So if you haven't ever seen anything with Christopher Lee in it, whether it's the old Hammer Dracula films or even Lord of the Rings where he played Saruman, go check out and read up on this guy. He was Ian Fleming's cousin, if I remember properly, and Ian Fleming actually based James Bond on, the mystique and the story of who Christopher Lee was. And so that's an interesting little tidbit. But Drac has taken everybody out here. He's wearing folks out left and right. And then here comes Slayer. And that's why Slayer had to meet with Fat Tony, was because he had to try to help take Dracula out. So I'm not going to give away any more than that. This artwork is absolutely phenomenal. The story is well paced. This is, from what I can tell, this is a labor of love from Mark. It's something that he's wanted to get off the ground for a very long time. And he has done some artwork for Spawn, for the covers for Image. And I'm really glad to see Mark getting his due here, giving him an opportunity to go out there and tell the story that he wants to tell. You know, the big two aren't really the publishers that you want to go to anymore if you want to tell an individual tale that doesn't have anything to do with Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, or capes. Instead, you want to go to a different publisher, which this is literally the first book I've ever owned from Keen Spot, so I don't really know how they are or how they are not as far as being a publisher goes, but you want to go to Keen Spot, you want to go to Boom, you want to go to Image, you want to go somewhere along that route so that you can tell the story that you want to tell without massive editorial interference and without people staring over your shoulder every 2 seconds. But I was very, very impressed with this book, and I think you guys will be too. I think issue 2 comes out here very shortly, so I would be looking for it. I would talk to your local comic shop and see about putting it on a final order cutoff if it's still available. If not, just let them know that you want a copy of Monsters number 2 and go back and track down number 1. Right now, I think it's still at cover price, so you shouldn't have any trouble finding it. They might be sold out in the stores, but go to eBay, go to Amazon, things like that, and you can still probably get it at cover price plus shipping. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Are there any books that you've read that you'd like me to discuss? It might be something that I've read that I haven't talked about on a weekly pickup video or things like that, and it might be something laying around. Are there any old series you'd like me to cover? Something, Spider-Man related, J.M. DeMatteis, Moonshadow, anything like that? Just let me know in the comments below. Thanks, guys. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do that. Let's keep this channel moving along, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great night.